All right, guys. Well, I am very excited to be here with the legend, Mean Gene Okerlund. Mean Gene, thank you so much for being with us today. I know you've got a busy itinerary tonight, but we are here in a scenario where there's just many, many fans coming up. And I saw earlier the line of people here to meet you. To be totally honest, the line for your booth was actually longer than the line for a lot of wrestlers. And what's it like for you after all these years to have so many fans just showing appreciation and respect?
I'm going to try explain that the best way possible.
Yeah.
Number one is I've been in the business for 43 years.
Gotcha.
My good friend Matt Stryker, to my immediate left, we get a shot of him, right? Stay decent, yes. But anyway, I think it's kind of tenure has a lot to do. And I noticed some of the people that were on our line, we not only had kids, but we had ladies.
Okay.
We had a few gentlemen, some of which could have been maybe a little on the high side, a little older.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a very diverse range of fandom there for
what I call a very diverse dichotomy of our fan base.
Okay.
Because wrestling today with the Legends House and the Legends of Wrestling and all of the things that are going on is not just 18 to 34 teens and kids. Today, I think it runs the gamut. I did an interview back in 1984 with Liberace, who shared with me his grandmother had a real penchant for wrestling on Saturday Night Live in Milwaukee.
Wow.
And she would watch it and claw up the chair if she didn't like what was happening.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Different world.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned 1984, and it's interesting because here we are on the cusp of the 30th anniversary of so many epic things that happened 30 years ago. I just read that Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun, She's So Unusual album is having its 30th anniversary. To me, 1984 was sort of the pinnacle of so many great things, and I know that was kind of when things really started to explode with, back in the day, WWF and now WWE. The whole rock and wrestling, you actually became a cartoon character around that time. What was that like in the mid-'80s in terms of just your involvement with wrestling at that time?
Well, you could tell that things were changing. I mean, the landscape was changing tremendously, and I got a very distinct feeling of being there at that time, doing things with all of the mainstream people that followed wrestling, because that didn't happen before. It was the beer and T-shirt crowd, trust me. But the wrestlers were kind of the beer and T-shirt crowd. I mean, Crusher and Bruiser with the big pot bellies, and granted they were decent athletes, but it was armories, smoky arenas, and nothing like a Madison Square Garden, nothing like Staples Center in L.A., and some of the other great venues, not only in this country, but all over the world. I think WrestleMania 1 signaled the change of wrestling as we knew it forever. And I think that's held true now going on just about 30 years.
WrestleMania 30 just happened, and just a couple months ago, actually, you helped induct Mr. T into the WWE Wrestling Hall of Fame. And Mr. T, like Cyndi Lauper and a couple other people, Dennis Rodman in the 90s, was a very big name that from kind of the acting and kind of Hollywood realm that got kind of connected into the professional wrestling world. And
I lost a bet. The reason I inducted Mr. T into the Hall of Fame. I never thought of him as really a professional guy. He didn't show up on time. A lot of things that he didn't do, and I told him to his face. So that there was a little tension there at the Hall of Fame with my induction, but that's kind of the way it is. You know who's a pro? Liberace was a pro, and a lot of other people. Cyndi Lauper, total professional.
Wonderful. Yeah. We did an interview with Iron Sheik a while back, and we talked about the Goonies Are Good Enough video that she did with so many wonderful people. And
what else do you talk about with the Iron Sheik?
I can't get into that. Part of it's R-rated. He's known for being a very just off-the-cuff kind of gentleman,
Yeah, anything to do with Brian Blair from the Killer Bees?
Not so much, but he had a lot of things to say about Hulk Hogan and Linda Hogan at that time.
Hulk Hogan is not man enough to can handle that lady.
Had to be a great interview. I like that.
It was. Well, one last question for you, Gene. You know, through the years and looking back at just you're definitely one of my idols in terms of your interview skills.
Hey, don't kill a good thing with me, pal. Sit here and blow smoke my way. I know where it's coming from.
It's authentic, Gene. I just looking back. I mean, so many wonderful interviews through the years, and just to see the pre-match interviews with Hogan.
Well, you know, Mean Gene, we really don't know what we're dealing with here, man. And I'm just kind of a little worried about walking up here because we just might blow the whole planet up, you know.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Ric Flair.
Mean! Woo! My God! Gene!
Are there any sort of, especially the pre-match interviews, that stand out in your mind when just the wrestlers were so passionate and focused, and there was just so much, particularly in the 80s, so much just really intense energy in those pre-match interviews?
Well, you brought that up, the 80s, and as we kind of close out that decade, 1989, we were doing SummerSlam over in the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, and I was doing an interview at that time with Bobby Heenan and Ravishing Rick Rude. And I don't think it's any secret because it is one of the legendary bloopers in our business.
Yes.
I did, for the very first time, drop the F-bomb.
Standing by now, Gene Okerlund with Ravishing Rick Rude and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Gentlemen, as you know, the Ultimate Warrior.
Fuck it.
I don't know what happened to that Gene Okerlund back there, but somebody's chasing him down. I like that. It's about time that bald-headed old man got somebody to interrupt him and cause him trouble. All he does is cause trouble himself.
But I'm sure you would understand if the backdrop went over.
Yes, yes. You were more than justified, Gene, on that one. So.
Of course I was. Jesse Ventura did a lousy job of covering for me.
Yes, he did. Well, thanks again, Gene, for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the future, your various projects that you're involved in.
I look forward to seeing myself in the future because I'm kind of at the end of the road here, so I live her day to day. But I have not bought any summer clothing.
Okay. Well, carpe diem. There you have it from the man, Mean Gene Okerlund. Thank you so much, Gene.